Okay, so this is a quick video on Revit roofs to do a roof type that is called a roof by extrusion right here. And so this is good for a curved roof shape or a more organic roof shape. And essentially what you're going to be doing is defining an edge of the roof, and then it's going to do an extrusion away from that edge. And again, building that roof as defined by roof properties. So this would be a 12-inch thick roof. If I click Edit Profile, that is defined as a shape by this arc. So these can be a little bit tricky to get set up. Once you understand the system, they're super easy and really flexible to work with. So let's just take a quick look at going through them. So doing this is different than your other roof types because we are essentially working not in plan view to create a roof footprint, but we're working in elevation to create a roof profile. So to do this, we need to create a reference plane, not unlike this one, so that way we have a virtual piece of paper in three-dimensional space to work with. So let's build this one. Actually, let's just go ahead and delete that existing one, and we'll build this roof from the south elevation view. So to do this, the first thing I need to do is place a reference plane. So that's this tool right here. The reference plane essentially is a two-dimensional line that you're going to draw typically in your floor plan view. It shows up as a dash line, just like that. You need to left click it and give it a name. So I'm going to call this Edge of Barrel Vault. So from here, if I look at this in a three-dimensional view, it's part of the roof that's still left, I can set my reference plane now to Edge of Barrel Vault. And as long as I have Show turned on, it is going to give me that sort of virtual piece of graph paper that I can draw on. Now, again, that extends just because you're only seeing so much of it. It extends infinitely in all directions, and that reference plane is based off of this reference line that we drew in two-dimensional space. So anywhere I move that to, everything associated with that reference plane is going to move with it. So it's a really important thing to note. So let's draw this first portion of this view in the south elevation. Okay, so I'm going to start by activating the Roof by Extrusion tool. I'm going to draw this on from the pick a plane. Actually, let's use the name Edge of Barrel Vault Roof Plane. It's going to ask me what level I want to associate this roof with. So right now I have that set to level 2. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a 3-point arc. Let's do it about 40 feet wide. By 20 feet tall. Now, if you're familiar with Kimbell, Kimbell actually has a gap in the top of the barrel vault. I don't know how big it is, but I'm guessing it's about 2 feet. So let's do a 1-foot offset to each side. And then I can delete that center guide. Now, from here, I can use split and trim to build that. And then I can erase these two guides. Now, this has a bit of a problem with it. If you remember, typically we talk about closed loops when we're building these systems in Revit. And what you're going to see here is these are two disassociated lines. So if I try and do this, it's going to give me an invalid sketch. That's because it can only handle one line at a time. So what I want to do is I want to do this essentially one side at a time. Green checkbox. So there's my, well, that's only a 2-inch thick roof right now. So let's go ahead and select that and change that to a 12-inch thick roof. Cool. So next, I just want to make a quick guide to mirror this. So to do that, I can just use my annotate, detail lines, and I know this line, the center line was 1 foot over because that was a 2-foot gap. So I'm just going to draw a center line 1 foot over, and then a quick axis down. Again, these are things that I'm going to delete. I can mirror that about my axis. So I now have that 2 foot gap back. And so now I have 2 roof pieces with that gap in the middle. So that's setting up correctly now. And then I can select each one of these and tell it how far I want them to extrude. So let's just make both of those 40 feet. I believe the barrel vaults at Kimbell are obviously much longer than that, but that's okay. So now I need to make that little reflecting panel underneath. So let's go back to the south elevation, architecture, roof, roof by extrusion. So again, I'm going to use my name, Edge Barrel Vault. Still associating that with level 2. I'm going to sketch in these first couple of lines will simply be some guides for me to draw by. And then those reflectors, I believe they arc. Let's pull up that image really quick here. Those reflectors bend this direction, here and here. So we want to build those. So that starts as an arc and comes up in this sort of upside down V shape. So back into Revit, that is going to be, let's just do those this time as a spline. So I'm going to start that line out a little bit higher. That feels about right. Totally ballparking this. I sincerely doubt Louis Kahn would forgive me for totally ballparking his design, but that's okay. So I've got these 2 sort of upside down V shapes. Green checkbox, that's a 2-inch thick roof, which is kind of a lie because that's really a reflecting panel, or a 2-inch thick reflecting panel. But using the roof tool for something like this really just kind of works perfectly. So let's set that to 40 feet also. And now we have those 2 pieces coming together using roof by extrusion.